All right, everybody. Hello, and give us a sec. Zombie and I have not done casting together in quite some time, so we have to just do some audio checks that we didn't get to do prior to the stream going live. So first off, how you doing, Zombie Grub? Is it good to be back?
It is good to be back.
Oh, you can already tell you're quite quiet. One sec. Let's see what I can do about that. Okay, let's try that. Tell us a little bit about France, I guess.
I did not prepare for this, so is it okay now?
Okay, first off, I'll check the sound in a second, but I need to talk more on the point of you're not prepared for, like, you could have just simply said, like, France was very French, and I think that would have been a perfectly acceptable answer.
Really?
I don't feel like I put you on the spot.
I don't think that's true.
All right, well, hang on.
I think you would have made fun of me no matter what.
That's actually a high possibility, but give me just a moment here to take a listen, see how that sounds.
Is it
very French, and I think that would have been a perfectly acceptable answer.
Really?
I don't feel like I put you on the... Okay, I think that's a little bit better. Just a little bit of tweaking, and that should be good for the show. If it's not, please, guys, let us know. We'll be looking in chat for feedback. I have 2 monitors again! Yay! And my problems are mostly solved. I'm just mostly missing out on the webcam and the new hard drive, both of which should be here tomorrow. So, hopefully Zombie Rub's face can be a good face for you guys to enjoy for the time being. I guess, did you... I told you about this, right? Like, what happened with my desk and everything?
You did tell me, yes.
Yeah, feels bad, man. We talked about it in the earlier cast today, but I guess the TLDR for those tuning in for the first time, my desk tipped over and everything, including my very heavy PC, fell over. It stretched cords, things broke. Feels bad, man, but luckily the weekend is over and people are back to like regular delivery hours, so to speak. So we should have I should have all the new equipment required sooner rather than later. Anyways, it's the Olimoleague. Of course, bright and early. What else would it be? We got Crank covering in Korean, I believe, again today. And I actually have to go find the brackets for this still. What is it, 77, right?
Yes, it is.
Alright, edit command brackets.
That's a very large bracket. Very large.
Yeah, well, I mean, since everybody got released from Kespa, right? I love, by the way, that even the players are referring to it as Kespa Jail. Solar has done that on multiple occasions, like in all chat. I love it. But yeah, since players got released from Kespa Jail, quote unquote, a lot of them have been signing up. A lot of them have been playing. I know you haven't been here for the last few events I've been doing with Zeph, but like our Korean signups have been looking pretty fantastic too. So I hope that this trends throughout the year and that this isn't just, okay, it's kind of the beginning of the year, who cares? Because I gotta imagine, like, as GSL progresses, as players get knocked out, they're more free to play in more things, right?
I guess so. I'm just more surprised by the amount of, like, basically no-names, people that I do not recognize signing up.
Yeah, we had some Chinese players actually get pretty far in a couple of events. Even people like, well, I don't know if he's Chinese or not. I think he is. But Breaking GG, knocking out, like, Scarlet and a couple other people were like, oh, okay. Neat.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Well, actually, some of them literally have Chinese names, but I don't know about the other guys.
I know that we're not going to find our new coffee anytime soon. I would love to know what happened to that guy, though. He was quite the rising star, so to speak.
Yeah, I guess. Coffee, to me, was never as impressive as... well, I can't remember his name right now, so I guess he wasn't that impressive.
Oh, okay.
It was bad.
Well, regardless of that little awkward blurb, we do have a few amateurs that I do recognize in the bracket. I know last week, for example, we had Mechanic sign up, which was kind of cool. This week we got Poke Bunny, and I guess that just general reminder that the Olimoleague is on the Korean server, but it's not limited to Koreans, so anybody can try and play. Not saying that a lot of them have a good chance to win with people like Innovation and Byun and Biol and soO and Stats and Sohan in these brackets. But
That's a lot of people to get through.
Yeah. Of course, it's a matter of how many people actually check in. The bracket should be finalizing any moment now. And we'll be able to start picking our matches. In fact, actually, it is final. So by the time you're hearing this on stream, just hit that exclamation mark bracket command to take a look. At a glance, I'm really sad that Leonok goes into a ZVZ round 2. Leonok's been looking really good lately. Did Biol check in? He did. Oh, and he might fight Alive in round 2. Ooh. Okay, so here's my suggestion. I don't know who Zergtime is, but Zergtime versus Alive into Alive versus Biol could be pretty good. Alternatively, you've got soO versus Super, ZVP.
Either one.
I'll let you pick. It's you're back for the first time. You can choose.
I actually don't care, so I'm just gonna go with the first one.
Okay. We'll go with Alive versus Zergtime. It'll be a best of 1.
What is this guy in chat?
In chat, where?
So we have to make custom games and invite them, the enemies. Is that how tournaments work? Rifkin?
Oh, in Battle.net chat.
What?
I was looking at Twitch chat because now that I have my second monitor, I can actually see. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this will be neat. We are, well, at least it's safe to say, I'm a big fan of Alive. He's regularly playing in a lot of our stuff. But apparently his opponent's name is Zergtime. We don't know anything really about him.
Close enough to game time. But not quite game time. It's also best of 1.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, it should be quick, and I imagine Alive wins. He goes to fight Biol round 2. But I don't see Zergtime in the channel. But I am talking to Alive right now. On that note, I'm going to message Super as a backup. soO versus Super wouldn't be a bad alternative. I'm particularly interested in Biol because Biol has actually been wrecking faces, killing Innovation, Beyond Alive again recently. Like he's been nailing it, frankly.
Cool. He's playing the GSL soon. Ish. Actually, I don't know when he plays. I just know that I made a liquid bet for him.
I've never understood liquid bets. That's basically Team Liquid's Partoofs, right?
Not even.
Oh, okay. Well, could you explain it? I've seen people talk. You've talked about it before. You've talked about how good you are at it. I've never looked into liquid bets though.
Like I maybe you get points. But I don't think you use the points for anything. It's just literally like a EP and measuring contest. Like you just click the little button that says these people are gonna get out, and then that's it.
Nice.
And then maybe at the end of the year they're like, this person's the most points. But I don't even think they did that this year.
Well,
it's really completely useless.
If you'll join off me, we're in the lobby for Super versus soO, as we can't seem to find Zergtime. So rather than sit around, we'll just hop into the next one.
Yeah, alrighty then.
Of course, this one will be best of 3, however, as this is not a first round match. This is happening in round 2. The round of 32, to be precise. Also, thank you to Pagdois and MangaMan777 for your subscriptions. And I'm not sure if these people are here, but they subbed several hours ago. But just to give them some shoutouts, CBoner4, J Paladin Lennon, and Evil Pop Tart. Thank you guys for your support.
I could use a Pop-Tart right now. Maybe not an evil one, though.
Well, so would an Evil Pop Tart be a bad pop, like it tastes bad and it's not enjoyable to eat? Or would an Evil Pop Tart be the best tasting thing you've ever had in your life, but it doesn't disclose that it has like 50 million calories in it?
It'd be the latter one.
Yeah, I think I go with that round 2. By the way, shout out to Zeph. See you're hanging out in chat. It's good having you on board. And I hope you're going to enjoy the show today. We got some good matches. And of course, this first one, Super versus soO. Brand new best of 3. So, I'm using a brand new monitor, and it's 144 hertz. I'm excited to see what it looks like, because I haven't actually done anything with it other than setting it up for the cast, then sleeping, and waking up and doing this now. So, oh my. Okay, I kind of feel like this isn't mind-blowingly different, but right off the bat, this is like watching 30 FPS versus like 60 FPS is the best way I can compare this. Because I've used 60 hertz monitors my whole life. I didn't think there was any need to upgrade. And I don't think there was, but this is good. This is cool. This is smooth.
Okay.
Rifkin likes. There's your live reactions, guys, to 144 Hz monitor. Welcome to the Olimoleague Zombie Grub back on board for BaseTradeTV. And spawning in the top right, we've got the blue Protoss. It's super.
In the top left is the red Zerg. He is soO.
Super. soO's actually had a little bit of weird performance lately. I do want to talk a little bit more about Super because he's had more results with us. But soO I watch him stream all day, and this guy looks so good, like untouchable. Then he plays in these tournaments, and he's actually not getting that far. Granted, he's got like the tougher brackets. It's Korea. You're going to be fighting players like Innovation, Super, Zest, etc. But soO's not getting as far as the Olimoleague champion of 2016 you'd think would.
That is true. He did win last year, and it wasn't too long ago. 2 months?
Something like that.
2.5 months at this point.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't necessarily surprise me. I mean, it doesn't, it's always been the case that sometimes ladder results equate to tournament results, but I would say, like, not even as often. For a lot of times I've heard pro gamers be like, well, this guy's, like, top 15 GM on Korea or Europe or North America. Am I right? Like, I really just don't feel like it's really equated to a lot of wins, a lot of victories, a lot of impressive... Oh, yeah, he's good on ladder and he's good in tournaments.
Yeah, I was talking about it during the Corsair Cup today, but I feel like there's this extra invisible echelon, right? Like, you can talk about top 15 GM, but even above that, there's, like, the tournament contenders. And I feel like ladder rankings are a good way to place a player that you don't really know, but outside of that, it doesn't hold a lot of bearing or merit.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice little block, by the way, to keep those lings from getting inside the base.
Yeah, sure. Any scout denial is usually pretty good. Of course, you don't let the lings in, but the Overlord can see everything, so it's not really so much a scout denial, it's just an annoyance denial, because those two lings could run around for some time. Because who's actually going to take the gold base, which I find pretty risky. I mean, it's not exactly like it's the same as doing it versus a Terran who can drop you or siege tanks up on the low ground, but it still reduces the time at which, the Protoss army gets to your base. And of course, with that base, you have this nice little choke and a ramp that force fields can go down on. So I don't know, it seems kind of risky.
Well, Super has been doing a lot of adept-based attacks from what we've been seeing the last couple times. We've been casting PvZ. Always, I think, in the back of our minds, we're expecting the Dark Shrine, the Warp Prism. It's the go-to build every Protoss player's been doing. But Super has, on occasion, been throwing out these resonating glaives. 4 extra gateways come down. That whole spiel. The Robo starts up, and Flight Council will be finishing shortly, and we'll get to find out which direction he wants to take this.
Dark Shrine. Boop, 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 boop.
Like, we're waiting on the gas, right? Like, it's gonna be one or the other depending on the gas in a second. But all right, looks like it's gonna be Dark Shrine.
Yeah.
So for this to be the choice, it's not bad. I think what I like about it is forget the Dark Templar for a moment, because honestly, those can be hit or miss. It's the Archon control afterwards. Seriously, watching somebody drag and drop Archons in a Warp Prism, killing way too many units to be super cost effective, no pun intended, I think it's one of the cooler things to watch and respect out of a Protoss, because it's not really like super broken, but at the same time you've baited your opponent into like chasing you into these broken scenarios.
It's a pretty good build to actually see how good the Protoss is doing, like micro and control-wise of the game, but also how good the Zerg is doing, because it's like the first test, basically. Like, they don't have Spore Crawlers down, well, then you're dead. You don't have Roaches in position, well, then you're going to take a lot of damage. And actually, soO is doing something very interesting. He, delayed his lair, went for a Baneling Nest, which I feel is... Maybe he thought that was going to be a Twilight Council? Well, actually, no, he saw the Dark Shrine, so that's not it. Well, I guess he only saw the Dark Shrine recently, but... I don't know. The point is, he will have Spore Crawlers, but... I could have sworn he thought this was going to be the build much earlier, and now it's... well, now he's reacting to it.
Well, even though the Spore Crawlers may be able to keep the DTs from getting too far and too much done, the Archons are just made right away, so stealth detection won't be a part of this equation. Not initially, at least. Maybe later.
Yeah, you're right. The Queens do a good job defending. I guess that's the one upside to this gold base, is you know exactly where the Warp Prism would come in, and there's not much you can actually do about it until you actually get an army later on. But Super went very quickly into a third base. He really didn't, like, see a lot happening, I suppose, with the Dark Templar, obviously, and neither with the Archons. And in fact, Su's doing a really good job denying this, already getting some damage on the Warp Prism. Don't chase, though. That's a bad idea.
Yeah, that's the kind of drag and drop thing I referenced earlier. One of the Archons gets a little bit low, but of course scoops them both up. Shield's still looking pretty decent. Shots getting fired, and nice micro so far out of soO. And Super alike. For soO, it kind of sucks because he did end up losing quite a few lings to this, but it's better to lose lings than queens or drones. And these Archons, they will heal up a little bit inside the Warp Prism, but not enough that they can sit in the mineral line too comfortably.
I don't believe there's a Spore Crawler in that natural, so... No, there is. Ha ha ha! Well, I know he built 3, but like this Rojo's doing a really good job hiding it. If there wasn't, then that Warp Prism is just like going to sit there and continually drop and lift and drop and lift, even maybe if there's a queen there. And Archons can take it out, so the Spore Crawler actually really helps out versus the Warp Prism portion. But first, let's talk about Super. Super actually stopped building probes despite getting this really quick third base, which is pretty tricky. And he's getting a lot of gateways, of course, and adding resonating glaives. And if he has a couple of force fields, this is where soO's positioning, his gold base positioning, his third base positioning, might actually start really hurting him. Even without the gold base, like if he moves forward too aggressively, he could be force-footed off in this little bridge area, whatever you want to call it, in navigation.
I guess those are bridges. I haven't really thought about that.
Yeah. Yes. And yeah.
Well,
there's definitely nothing but space below that.
There's a lot of banelings coming in, which will certainly help with the Adepts if they stay clumped, but I don't expect a player like Super to be silly enough to leave them clumped. We'll probably see a little bit of splitting, ideally a couple of good force fields. Gold-based mining just kind of pushed off thanks to range, but soO did start taking this hatchery a little bit of time ago, so if this gets completely shut down, he can at least get something done.
Yeah, and I would say for as long as he had the gold base, since he took it pretty early, it's actually been pretty effective. And he does have a decent army to defend against this. As you said, those banelings could help out a lot versus the Adepts, at least stop them from transferring on top of the army. Archons do a good job soaking up the banelings, though. Actually, I think they soak up all the banelings.
Another round of Warpins comes in behind this. Guardian Shield helping out a ton to reduce this roach damage, but they do have +1 weapon upgrade, so once the Guardian Shield goes down, they come with full force. Corrosive Biles raining from above, too. Not looking too shabby. soO keeping up in that army for the time being, but it's hard. There's still Immortals pushing through, and roaches alone aren't going to cut it. He needs more of these banelings. They're morphing in. He's got to buy that time, but while this happens, Super continues his advance. Force fields go down. He's about out of energy, and maybe this will end up hurting. We see him already pre-splitting, realizing, I don't have any force fields to keep these banelings back.
Yeah, but that pre-split was pretty good, and of course the Adepts, something he's been saving up for. He doesn't quite have 3 bases mining, but it's close to it, and he can afford a lot of Adepts. I think about roaches on the way, but obviously 3 Immortals still alive means that these roaches would have to actually get target fire on them.
That force field is so perfectly blocking all the reinforcements. soO just can't quite get through to connect. Another round of Warpins coming directly on that front line. GG's get called, and Super will take game number 1.
Yeah, pretty convincing. I mean, he kind of did a trick build, which is very cool, but soO, I think, was always aware that was a possibility. He didn't super over-drone. Maybe even 56 drones was too many.
Never
get a gold base.
You never realize how often you say super until you're casting them, right?
Super duper.
All right, well, I have to figure out why my StarCraft isn't loading me out of the game. I may have to restart.
Oh, yeah, alrighty then.
Oh, there we go. That just took an abnormally large amount of time. Not sure what was up with that. I think Crank was hosting that one.
I think so. Excuse me. Excuse me. So, my, I don't know if you saw, you're probably asleep or something, right? But my luggage got lost.
Oh no!
Delayed / whatever it is.
Like, did you eventually get it, or is it still missing?
Oh, it's still missing. Like, well, I mean, I landed at like 4 yesterday, 4 p.m. I didn't expect to have it by today. 5 in the morning. But there's one thing that was missing that I actually really desperately missed, and it isn't, 8 days worth of clothes. It's my hairbrush.
Oh.
I know, like you said, you had long hair at one point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like a brush and a comb.
Well,
so all I have is a comb.
Well, here's my question: did you not keep your little brown bag from the Korean air flight?
That's a comb.
No, it's a 2-in-1 when you unfold it. It's a comb and a brush.
No, it doesn't have like soft bristles.
Oh, the bristle.
right?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like teeth. So with my hair, especially with how like for whatever reason it's been very voluminous. Is that a word lately?
Voluptuous, volumized.
Volumized? I don't think voluptuous is different.
It's been. You're right. Zombie
Anyway.
Grip's hair is more voluptuous than she is.
Anyway, so like this might look okay on camera, but really all I did was take a comb and kind of just went like, and then like down, like down like here, and then that was it. And then like I hope the headphones would cover everything.
You got like any hair scrunchies, man? Just rock the ponytail.
It would actually be kind of painful with how many like knots there are. Because I took a shower, of course. Yeah, I took a shower after a long travel, so it's like, I don't know. It's not gross, but it would feel weird. It would feel scratchy, probably. It's the one thing I'm missing, basically, and I didn't get to ask my mother to give me hers. Woo! Oh.
Well, I hope you get a chance to get your luggage, but we are in game number 2 here for the Olimoleague, folks, and with quite the early pool in the bottom left, he's looking for some revenge. It's going to be the red Zerg player, soO.
In the top right is the blue Protoss. He is super, and he's scouting.
He did this last time, too, though. This probe is not abnormal. This isn't, oh my god, map hacks. This is something Super's actually been pretty consistently doing in a lot of the games we've been casting, especially in that first match. So he'll see the pool, but he already put the pylons out here. So this could stay. No, it goes for the forge. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. I feel like Super was the guy that was doing the forge defense a couple months ago when we saw the uptick of early pools.
For me, I think Forge, and the only person that comes to mind is Mana recently, to be honest.
Well, that's offensive, yeah. Yeah, of course. But no, I'm pretty sure Super was the same guy who did it defensively a while ago. Super does have a bit of stylistic quirks, shall we say. Not as much as, I don't know, like Arthur used to. Stylistic quirks like cheese, but like, no, he has some weird responses to stuff. Just been interesting Protoss to watch. Sometimes they work very effectively. You can see why a Forge would be very helpful in this situation, but sometimes they actually don't. Like, I'm sure he's going to be fine, but sometimes you consider that if someone only defends with Gateway and Cybernetics Core, but defends, they at least have that Warp Gate already started, and the macro game looks a little bit more normal. Here he actually, he delays it, as if it's 2012 again. And this is the way to do things. Usually it's not.
Well, despite taking this small trip back in time, the Forge opening, all things considered, isn't so bad in terms of, like, it doesn't disrupt your economy. You still get the Nexus down really quickly, but it does kind of offset. Like, if you were going to look to gear up towards the fastest Dark Shrine possible, this actually takes quite a few seconds away from that. And I'm not sure how that interacts with the way soO opened, especially with this faster third base coming down. But that last game, really, it wasn't about the DTs. It was barely about the Archons, and it had a lot more to do with the Adepts and the follow-up to it. So, regardless of the question that is, what build order does Super decide to go down? Is it going to be that DT tech? Maybe it'll be a Stargate instead? I don't know. My concern is whether soO can handle whatever comes up as, like, the follow-up punch, so to speak.
Right, yeah. Which is why sometimes the Forge defense looks great, but sometimes it does not, because of course soO, I mean, he kind of got something from this, right? Like, even though he didn't do any damage with it, he still got Super to have a delayed game, which gives him a little bit more time to try and recover from that early pool, especially because he didn't get gas with it. So.
Yeah, there are some players out there, like, I'm thinking like Innovation more than anyone else, obviously. They got the robot approach, right? You punch them in the face and they're unfazed by it. Some players, though, you screw up their build slightly and they just, I don't know what it is. They never quite recover off of it. So we'll get to find out whether Super is going to be the robotic steel man that doesn't get bothered at all by this as he continues to what looks to be go towards the Dark Shrine. Or if this is like, okay, my timing's off. I don't know how to use these units anymore.
Yeah, I certainly know what you're talking about. Usually pro gamers
well, hold the phone.
learn a little bit, but
it's still going to be the Dark Shrine, but the extra gateway's came down really early. I thought for a second this was going to be the resonating place for certain.
The gateways do seem a little oddly timed for what is the usual build, but that is to be expected again when you open up a bit differently. So he just probably figured he had the minerals and threw them down a bit early. But yeah, it goes to the same thing. He could follow this up with even more gateways and do some sort of 2-base all-in. I mean, the last game was borderline 2-base. He really didn't have that many probes at his third, and I think he actually transferred some of his probes to his third. They didn't even like build additional ones. So maybe too far of a stretch.
By the way, looks like Zeph's got your back on the hair debate in chat. Also mentioning how
just look passable.
this is why I cut my hair short, guys. It's easy. It's just not a problem. I imagine bald guys have it easiest. Maybe not
Probably.
in terms of looks,
Sometimes
but...
I don't know. Like sometimes I feel bald guys actually. Sometimes they might be like, just like do whatever and then it's fine. But then sometimes I feel like there's ones that like have like dry skin or something, you know, and then they can't cover it up.
You gotta worry about the shine. You
hair.
gotta powder your head.
Yeah, they gotta powder their head. Yeah, that's where I was going with that. But anyway, it is gonna be a third base. It's not like a follow-up all-in immediately anyway, but it's also going to be directly into those Archons.
Yeah, this time around, there's not that many Lings out, so there's not so many easy pickoffs. That being said, though, the Archons still hit for a ton. They can hit the roaches, they can hit the drones. Frankly, whatever they hit, it's gonna go down quickly. The staying power is really determined by the Warp Prism, though. You noticed it last game, and I'll point it out again. soO did a pretty good job of focusing the Warp Prism down. It got it pretty low. Nice catch already to start off, getting right through their shields and taking about 29 damage off the actual health.
Yeah, I feel like more Zergs should be doing this. Or maybe they do, but sometimes the Protoss actually attacks from the north. I don't know, it seems pretty common, especially if they're the type to turn Archons in immediately, to go to them that southern path and try and get the drones that they're all stacked up.
Well, Super this time does have an actual third setup. Not only has he saturated it and getting the gas down, he's built a nice wall to kind of keep it from run-bys too. So he's looking to play this game a little bit more than just a simple cheeky all-in, that's for certain.
Oh yeah, still building probes. Gonna definitely get up to a good count, and that's a question now, did he do enough damage to soO to really warrant it, or is he about to get swamped by like a ton of roaches? And actually I think he did a good enough job. Of course, soO is still kind of recovering from the beginning of this game as well, so it only recently got to above 60 drones, and 20 plus army supply when you have roaches is really not the most impressive thing against a Protoss player, especially the Protoss player already has a couple of Immortals. Although Super doesn't actually have that many sentries, so it's like, it's actually kind of a small army. It's a little bit scary, but that's why, of course, he's getting put in overcharge, ready and available.
I'm really curious about the Templar Archives coming down. There's some arguments to be made about like what's the better Archon to make. On one hand, DTs cost less gas but more minerals, or you just go for a Templar. Or if this will be for faster storms, expecting Banelings, because he did see a considerable amount of them last game.
I like this. I kind of wish, though, especially since he is the type of guy to go right into those Archons, that he just got in the Templar Archives right off the bat. Like, it sounds odd, but referencing Masters, like a Brazilian player, he did that. And then he went in the Charge Archon, which, as you're talking about, Dark Templars have more mineral costs, so it makes sense to go Zealots and High Templar Archon. It looked actually pretty decent, and Super's going to go that direction anyway. Like, why not start off with it?
Well, I really like the idea because what's, of course, going to counter the charge lots but Banelings, and that's where Templar really shine through. Same with Archons, but right now, none of that matters. Charge isn't even done. Super's running away. Might want to even pop a force field or two just to keep these Zealots alive a little bit longer, but no, barely manages to get to the top of that ramp. soO, of course, has been fully scouted. Super knows what's coming. He tries to get a couple of shots here with the Archons, but really, soO has a massive army. 132 strong, sitting on what is almost 40 Roaches, 7 Ravagers. A lot more Lings and Banelings behind that, too.
Yeah. I think Super was really hoping that soO was going to try and add some tech on or just play a defensive game, but no, he was maxing out with Roaches. Triple Hooks isn't quite done, though. Neither is +1. Surprised he pushed in right before that timing.
Well, force fields go down, and I'm not sure why I'm getting some performance lag. We'll look into that afterwards, guys. But the Concave out of soO is looking to be a little too good. We see some Warp Prism Micro trying to keep these Immortals alive. I like the Micro. I like the action, but I think soO's got it. Overwhelming amounts of numbers. Setting on 3 times the army supply, 90, 81 supply, now to 27. Super's just bleeding out faster than he can reinforce.
Yeah, I don't like. He's also macroing quite poorly right now and needs to warp in. There we go, a bunch more Zealots, but even then can't spend all of his money at once. I was gonna say, like, very quickly that high army supply can go, like, right down if it's just Roaches. against Immortals. We actually have quite a few Lings and, of course, Ravagers now, not Roaches. So this is still an impressive army against what Super has. And the fact that he messed up his macro during that time is probably going to kill him here. If, you know, the game didn't kill him, that definitely would have.
More Archons finally finishing up to overcharge. Can get a good chunk of damage, but will be taken out pretty quickly by those Corrosive Biles. Baneling's looking for those Zealots, hoping they'll be on the front line. Boom, boom, boom. Everything here's just kind of falling apart for Super.
Yeah, it is. Oh, no, the Banelings. Oh, no.
That should have a good chunk of probes.
Yeah. Of course, Super doesn't want to tap out quite yet. Well, okay, there he goes. But, like, you don't want to tap out as soon as you realize the army is overwhelming because they can overcommit with Roaches. They can get themselves stuck in a choke. Charge off can be good against someone who doesn't, like, rebuild Banelings. But Suhad, that's composition's number specifically.
Pulling a wardy there, Zombie Grub.
No, that wasn't quite pulling a wardy.
Actually, I felt so bad for him because we've all been there. We've all made that comment, right? Like, oh, it doesn't look like it's over, but then somebody will like abruptly leave. I was teasing about him in his chat the other day. I've definitely done that like way too many times.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's especially sucky because I know the guy that posted the clip didn't mean to do any harm, and he posts like a ton of different clips and just tries to be funny. I forget who it is, but he posts that one clip. And, like, no one sees, like, the majority of other calls that Wardy makes. So, like, basically just stop posting the Reddit guys because it's never going to be any good.
Well, so here's my counterpoint to this, right? Reddit's not very good because we keep telling all the good people not to go there. Maybe what we need to do is actually get all the good people to go there actively so we can overpower the shitty people.
Maybe. I don't think I've ever actually told someone not to go to Reddit. I just said that I don't read past a certain point on Reddit, and that I'd rather not have
Storm Brewing
posted to Reddit. I live on the wild side when I go like more than 2 mouse scrolls down on a Reddit thread.
In fairness, I guess
zone.
I actually really like Reddit outside of the StarCraft Reddit. I participate in quite a few of the other ones, but the StarCraft Reddit is particularly bad.
It's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's one of those talk show topics, I suppose, but we'll never get around to doing one of those. I did do sort of like an impromptu talk show the other day. Did you hear about this?
I saw, yeah.
I'm a pretty good artist, I gotta say. I don't know why I don't just hire myself out as a freelance graphics designer.
It's so easy. People just flock to you.
I know.
Pay you money to do art.
I mean, people beat me off with a... Nope, wait, hang on. Beat others off with a stick? No, there's no way to phrase that. That doesn't sound terrible.
What are you doing?
Sorry.
Oh, that's awkward.
Okay, well, we got everyone in the lobby for game number 3, guys, coming up on Echo. So sit tight and let's hop into this older map. Oh, I haven't gotten to talk with you about this. Did you see the community update thing where they're talking about which maps they're bringing in next season?
I did, yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know why they would bring back those. Well, is it 3 maps or 2 maps?
Galactic Process, Apotheosis, and something else. I don't know.
I don't mind Galactic Process, to be honest, because it's like Cloud Kingdom, and I don't know, I don't mind Cloud Kingdom either. But I really mind bringing back Apotheosis and New Gettysburg. I think New Gettysburg was honestly played out, despite what was kind of a gimmick, and Apotheosis was just too long and boring.
So, I agree. I really don't like that there's this trend of, like, they had, like, not even this season, but last season they had success in bringing back some of the old maps. It was kind of cool, right? We enjoyed it. But this season's been kind of stale at best. I haven't enjoyed a lot of the games on a lot of these maps, if we're going to be honest. Whirlwind has produced the most interesting games, but outside of that, nothing else has really made me gleeful. And then on top of that, the ones they're proposing that you've just listed are not good either. But what's really got my gears grinded here is we've not just played Host 2, but also featured and cast other maps from like 7 different Team Liquid map contests. And rather than pick like 2nd place finishers or 3rd place finishers, they're picking the maps that were rejected. Palladino Terminal didn't even make it to the top 8. So like, why is that the one going to the ladder? What the fuck?
Yeah, you know, we're not there when they're making the decision and whatever, but I really feel like sometimes they either do not want to test something or already had it tested. You know, like someone tested Paladin Terminal, was like, yeah, guys, it's good. Okay, thanks for testing that. Then we can put it in the ladder, 2 seasons from now or whatever it is. Like, because that's the only reason they wouldn't be more experimental, in my opinion. Like, they're willing to have new maps, but they have to make sure that they're not entirely broken first, right? They have to actually test it. Like, literally, balance-wise, but also, like, literally, like, no bugs.
Yeah, and we got to see Paladino Terminal a couple of times, and I think the feedback we got from players after every single game played on it was, this is not a good map. So I'm shocked. Anyways, player intros, because we're nailing this. Top left side of the map, he scouted early once again. It's Super.
And in the bottom right is the red Zerg. It is soO. But I mean, they always have to do their internal testing because...
Oh yeah, that as well. There's little things that a lot of people don't know about, like some of the doodads will cause lag, and of course, while we focus on the pro scene, Blizzard's very focused on the everybody scene, so they want everybody to be able to enjoy these maps, not just the pros.
Right, and it sounds like I'm defending them, but I'm really not. I'm saying that they just need to be if that's the problem, then they need just to test the ones that were actually voted in, that got top 3 and 4, and not just whatever they tested, seasons ago, and are like, well, this one we know is good. Let's just put that back in there. I don't know. I don't actually know if that's the case though. So like, don't take my word for it or whatever. But it just seems kind of lame.
This is just opinions. I mean, and we're allowed to have them. Anyways, the next season, if it's bad enough, the nice thing is we're in control of enough of our own tournaments. We could always just use our own map pool. Like at some point, you're just like, screw it, Blizzard.
It's just so lame to have to do that. Especially because we're past the point where every single tournament had different maps, and while once or twice it's really fun, I think overall it can be kind of annoying for the players, especially to have to learn a new map pool and remember that it's a new map pool, but also kind of for us sometimes I feel like I want to play ladder, I want to have to be able to talk about my own games on this specific spot on this specific map, and well, I'm not really going to do that if we have 6 custom games, custom lobbies.
You know which moment of StarCraft 2 made me go from casting a game to wanting to play a map the most?
What's that?
Was when we were watching the more broken version of Deadwing. And I'm not talking about people dropping tanks behind the rocks, but when we saw MMA dropping on the ledges and before the map was fixed, I had never been more motivated than seeing a broken map than wanting to play on it. So it's not even like broken maps are bad.
Yeah, well, they're not going to be in the map pool, so it's lame. We have a very interesting game on Echo. First of all, soO is on 2 bases, lair, so that's awfully surprising. But Super, I don't think he really minds that. I think if you you're going for a Resident Enclaves all in, or the Archon DP drop, and you're like, where the hell is the 3rd? Then maybe you wish they had it. But he's going for double Stargate.
I'm not surprised. It's Echo, right? This is the map you locked in at 3rd. You turtle up to carriers if you're feeling comfortable. Whatever the case may be, I think Stargate tech's appropriate. I just love that on one side of this, we got a player going by air, and the other player not just going by ground, but underground. Burrow tunneling claws.
Yeah, that's the real thing, though, isn't it? If soO is just taking a slower approach to a 3rd base with, a mid-game attack, Super might be able to hold on with, 2-base Protoss, basically, up a ramp with force fields. You can hold on for quite some time, but against Tunneling Claws, I don't think that is going to be nearly as... Well, it's not that it was easy in the first place, but it might just be impossible now.
I would love if you had snuck those over. Are these going exceptionally slow? They don't have speed.
They don't have speed.
Man, I have not seen Tunneling Claws without roach speed before.
This is going to be terrible.
This is the slow... I think Infestors are faster than...
Yes. Well, Infestors are definitely faster, for sure. Huh.
Well, I guess what's also interesting is, it's when they're moving really fast, it's noticeable that there's, that sort of black smoke in the ground. When it's slow like this, I guess it's not so, look at me, look at me. As he gets to the main, he also does see the fleet beacon, so I think he's got a pretty good idea of what the follow-up to this is going to be. And nobody wants to be fighting Protoss Air right now. No Zerg players having a good time against that.
The good news for Super is that it wasn't an all-in. If soO just maxed it on roaches and, shark attacked the army, I think Super might have just been screwed. His carriers would take forever to come out.
Oh my god, there's no detection!
2 Phoenix. Yeah, because there's no detection, but at the very least, with just harassment roaches, he could get protection, and he can still try and build his carriers, but no matter what, it's pretty bad.
This is too funny though. Super doing this bow with the carriers. When you turtle up his, let's first off note that his third was much later than you would have expected. And on top of this, his probe count is not that astounding for what should be 3 bases. And on top of that, soO's been picking them off. So down to 37 workers to support two Stargate carrier production. That's not gonna go so well.
No,
and he can afford like a 3rd carrier. The end.
Well, Super, yeah, it might have 3 carriers, but soO has already gone into Hydralisk like very quickly. I think as soon as he scouted the double Stargate, I think he threw it on the Hydralisk end. But he's gonna have so many Hydras, and Super is eventually gonna try and defend his 3rd base, which will draw his carriers out of that ramp, and they're gonna die.
So I know we're calling these like shark attacks, but honestly, watching this is like hungry hippos. As the balls come close or the probes come close to the roaches, they're just gonna leap out of the ground to pounce on them.
Yeah, this is pretty brutal. I don't know if soO realized that Super always does carrier builds on Echo. It's a fairly popular map for carrier builds, but I'd say they're less popular than they were a month ago.
Well, I feel like Protoss in general, this is the map. Like of all the maps in the map pool, this is the one where the chances on that you could gamble on pretty easily. But there's these Hydras gonna have no problem chewing through this. Normally you're so worried about the Adepts and the Zealots underneath this, and the Interceptors, and oh my, but there's just not a lot of anything for Super.
Thank God he pulled his army back to the main.
There's Queens with this too.
It's like, it's one good thing, because if he was in the middle of the map right now, all of his army's probably just dead.
Right, but at the same time, going to the main, well, yes, it cleans up the roaches. It's forced to now give up the 3rd base, which... Super essential. Super's actually really supply blocked now too. Oh no.
Wow. Super supply blocks. He's already got his carriers on the way, I guess. Oh, this is gonna look really silly. He doesn't have enough carriers to.
He doesn't have graviton catapult.
Or that, yeah. Even if he did though, even if he was maxed out on interceptors and 2 carriers, this amount of Hydras and Queens would be able to kill those interceptors anyway.
Yeah, if there was charge lots beneath this, combined with the Adepts slamming in, okay, I think the Adepts and the charge lots do more damage than the carriers. But in this instance, the carriers and everything, they're all missing upgrades. I mean, no graviton catapult. Look how slow those interceptors come out. They're picked off before they even launch.
Yeah,
Transfuses like crazy into that one Hydra. It will not die. Oh, finally does.
Again, the only upside is that it's 2 base Protoss, with a ramp and maybe a couple of force fields. So soO will give away quite a few Hydras to bust a ramp against a composition he should have, good chances against, but I think it'll eventually happen.
It's a shame he doesn't have an Overlord or an Overseer here picking off that Cybercore. Would have been long gone, but yeah, no more sentries, no more upgrades for the carriers either. He's got to be out of transfuses by now, right? Like, he's kept some of these Hydras. These have become cat Hydralists with 9 lives each. But Slowlings at the backside, everything's just trying to get up this ramp. Carriers are really just not doing much. 10 minerals at a time. It's not a huge cost, but it's just not doing anything. It's almost a waste of money to make these interceptors at this point.
Yeah, he also lost one. I mean, Graviton Catapult finally finished. Seems like a pretty quick
now you can launch out one interceptor really fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, they're dead.
Is a very cool game.
Dead at arrival. GG. I really liked the tunneling claws, but I liked the slow tunneling claws. I guess just prioritizing getting them across the map is better than forcing out speed first. I'm not sure if that was the timing that totally screwed with Super or what, but man, that game did not go well for our Protoss.
No, it did not.
So who does soO move on to fight against then? Either your Ryung or Jakshi. Ooh, that might just be worth waiting on. Other than this, we've got Gumiho, Innovation, Beyond and Trust are playing. There's quite a few players advanced. We'll go to our first commercial break of the day. Thank you guys for joining us. And when we get back, hopefully we'll have a match decided upon.